Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Whether you're joining us live or on demand, welcome back to another episode of the Mobile App Academy, where we show you how to build and configure mobile apps live on the Now platform. My name is Charlie Steiner, a product marketer here at the mobile team in ServiceNow, and today we'll be taking a deep dive into some configurations on the new Safe Workplace mobile experience. If you're joining us for the first time, this is a live building series that focuses on managing and building out mobile apps in real time. We'll have product experts on hand to provide guidance, best practices, and answer some of your questions posted in the Q&A window. We host these sessions every 2 weeks here on Zoom at 10 a.m. Pacific, and our recordings will be posted on YouTube shortly after. As just a friendly reminder, this is our last episode of 2020. So thank you all who have been with us the entire year. It's been a great experience. We love seeing you in the chat. We love seeing repeat names, and we love seeing new people, frankly, come in and explore and learn more about mobile with us. So thank you for an awesome 2020, and we look forward to an even better 2021. As we continue on, as we continue with our intro, what's really important to us is as mentioned, we get insight from all of you, whether it's here on the chat or in the mobile community. We base our session topics around what you want to hear, what you want to learn about, and frankly, what you're working on. So as we move into 2021, I would encourage everyone to get in touch with us and let us know. We'd love to hear from you. With all that said, I'd love to introduce David Ha, Senior Product Manager here on the mobile team, to get things started, and we'll take it away. David?
Thanks for the intro, Charlie. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another Mobile App Academy. My name is David Ha, and I'm an outbound manager here at ServiceNow. I also have Fu Ho with me, who is a solution architect, also on the mobile team. And we want to give a warm welcome to everyone joining us live here today. And for today's topic, actually, I think you should all be able to see my screen now. So we'll be covering the new Safe Workplace mobile app. The Safe Workplace apps, they constantly have updates in the ServiceNow store. And there's been quite a few changes since its initial release a few months back. There is now a new Safe Workplace mobile app that consolidates all of these experiences so that you get the emergency response app as well as the Safe Workplace apps all into a single landing page on the Now mobile app. And so we'll be doing a live building session, talking through some of the first few common things that you might want to consider when going through your own implementation of it. And within this live building session, we'll be covering the following. We'll start with the plugins that you need from the ServiceNow store to roll out this mobile experience on your Now mobile app. I'll show you a quick preview of what this out-of-the-box experience now looks like today. And then before we jump into the configurations, we'll actually define the personas and use cases that we want to enable. Although the new Safe Workplace mobile app, it does give you access to all of the functionality that comes with the Safe Workplace and the emergency response management apps, but you might not want or even need all of these experiences. If you just need the basic functionality, or you want to expose a few experiences within your first rollout, those are some of those things that I want to show you and some of those common use cases. And over time, you'll be able to improve upon those workflows with richer experiences and functionality. So again, we'll talk through some of the common things that you might want to consider, as well as the best practices when customizing this out-of-the-box experiences for each one of those different personas. Okay, and so these will be the topics that we'll cover in today's new Safe Workplace mobile app. If you're looking for a more general overview on the Safe Workplace mobile apps, I recommend that you check out our on-demand videos, where we actually did a recent update and overview there. And if you're completely new to mobile, I recommend that you first check out some of the resources that we have on Mobile Community. There you can find some quick links and featured content on our earlier Mobile App Academy videos, our mobile implementation guides, and other important resources that you will definitely need to get started. Also important to know, in order to customize the new Safe Workplace mobile apps, we'll be heavily using the Now Platform UI instead of Mobile Studio. So it's essential that you check out our hierarchy videos and getting started resources so that you can better follow along with us as we kind of go through this configurations today. Okay, and as a reminder, this Mobile App Academy will take place on an Orlando instance. And like Charlie said, today's our last Mobile App Academy for this year. We're going to take a short break for the holidays and relaunch early next year. And we'll actually focus on Paris instances as well. But regardless of which instance you're on, majority of the configurations that we go through today will be the same across all releases beyond New York. there may just be some minor look and feel kind of differences. Another note, this will be a live building session that will last about 50 minutes. Feel free to ask me questions along the way in our chat and QA. You have Charlie and Fu who will help answer. And if we have time at the end, we'll just open up to open-ended questions. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump straight into it. So I actually want to start today with the objective. So the goal today is to talk about how you can deploy the Safe Workplace Now mobile app to support your employees returning to work, and how you can do that with some of the basic and minor configurations so that you can pilot your first initial rollout, right? We're not trying to build this perfect app before we roll it out, but just what are the first things that you would need? So this is super important for many of our customers today, because you might not always have the technical team to support a very custom and dev-heavy implementation. And your goal may just be to be able to roll out a very simple mobile app that allows your employees to safely return to their offices. And the out-of-the-box experiences, it might already provide you with 90% of the requirements that you already have. And there might just be a few minor adjustments that you need to do to be able to roll out that app. And so we're going to focus on what those simple and common configurations may be. So before we actually get into the actual configuration, let's talk about some of the things you might want to consider or think about before you deploy. So, what are those personas that you're trying to enable? The Safe Workplace mobile app will expose experiences across all of your managers, or end users and employees and screeners. So you want to make sure that you're being deliberate about who you're trying to expose experiences to. Are you doing a pilot for just your general employees at this remote location? Or are you trying to roll out both experiences for your managers, employees, and office screeners? All those different personas will have different experiences and different looks and feels to it. And you really want to be deliberate about what you're exposing so that you can optimize their experience on mobile. And then also, what are the main use cases that you want from the Safe Workplace experiences? As I mentioned before, you'll get access to all of it, but maybe your goal is just to simply manage a simple workflow. And in this first rollout, you might not want PP and inventory workflow enabled yet, but maybe in a later rollout. So you'll actually hide some of those experiences initially before actually deploying it. And so with those considerations in mind, what are our personas and main use cases for today? So we're going to enable a simple and consolidated experience so that we can pilot a small rollout for our employees to return to their office. And a lot of this functionality is already available out of the box from the employee health screening mobile app. But there are some other experiences from other apps, such as the emergency response self-report app, that you can leverage to improve and enrich this experience. And the benefit to having this consolidated app that brings all this together, we now just need to pick and choose which ones we want to expose and which ones we want to hide. So from the pre-built workflows, we're only going to expose the following workflows. So once my organization is ready for a pilot, we're going to send a health verification form so that employees must complete this form to be able to return to work. And that basically just says, within the past 14 days that you've been healthy and so forth. And we can use role-based permissions to make sure that only the employees that we are targeting for this rollout is able to see this workflow on mobile. So you might have some other general employees that aren't affected. So you definitely don't want to expose this landing page to those that aren't relevant. And then we're also going to expose another out-of-the-box capability from the emergency response app so that employees can report their health statuses daily. And that really gives management the visibility on health statuses across the organization. And then lastly, and more importantly, your employees will be able to pull up an office entry QR code so that they can quickly get scanned into the building. Everything else we're going to hide, although some of the out-of-the-box experiences that you have access to, like request and manage PP&E, manage daily contact log, managing your health screening workflows, or maybe even managing your team's health. These might be relevant, but you might consider enabling it later. But for this initial rollout, we're going to focus on enabling just a very simple workflow so that our general employees can re-enter the office. Not your manager persona, not your office screener persona, just the targeted general employee persona who needs to return to the office. All right, and then now that we've defined our goals and personas, here's the first few things that I would also want to consider modifying or customizing for our initial rollout. So on your navigation bar, you might want to think about renaming the tabs, hiding it, or maybe even changing the order. You also have your sections, which you might want to reorder or rename, as well as the individual applets. And then for mobile content, this is all about exposing what data, what type of visualization, and what fields you want exposed to those end users. And so we'll actually set up the roles and visibility conditions on an applet. We'll change the description on a web form. And then we'll also change fields on a native screen. So that's slightly different than web form. And I'll show you the different nuances. And then for the UX design, we probably will only have time to do a couple, but we'll probably change the title of things, the names of things, maybe move a couple things around. But if you're interested in learning more about how to improve your mobile UX design, we have a huge massive document on it that's featured on our mobile community site. So definitely recommend checking that out to learn more about that. And if any of these terms are foreign or unfamiliar, I highly recommend that you check our mobile hierarchy video to get up to speed on this. It'll definitely help you through your implementations. All right, so with that all being said, let's jump into the configurations. Okay. Let me log in real fast. All right, so to get started with our implementation, we're gonna enable the following. First, you're gonna wanna make sure that you've already installed the Now Mobile app from your device's app store, right? So I have the Now Mobile app here. In our previous app academies, we showed you how to do things like configure from the out-of-the-box Now Mobile app, how to configure adding new requests, adding and customizing catalog items on your services tab, as well as adding new KBs to your information tab, and just using the Now Platform UI to customize fields and so forth. If this is all new to you, again, we have a recorded mobile app academy called Getting Started with the Now Mobile app. You can check it out on this playlist here. It's probably these 18th video or so. And there you'll be able to see our build on that. And then to set up the environment on our instance, you're gonna want to make sure that your instance is upgraded to New York or beyond. That's what's required to use the new Safe Workplace mobile app. My instance is on the latest Orlando patch. And once it's on one of those releases, you'll need to download the Now Mobile plugin. If you're not familiar with how to get started with the out-of-the-box Now Mobile app, please watch the Getting Started with Now Mobile App Academy. It's a single plugin that you can also find on our product docs. But just because we've reviewed that already, we're going to kind of move on. But once you have the Now Mobile plugin already installed, there's going to be 3 plugins that you'll need to get the new Safe Workplace mobile experience working. So if you take a look at our instance, we're going to jump into the ServiceNow store. So on our left-hand nav, we'll look up plugins. And then we're going to click on this button that says Find in Store. And this takes you to the ServiceNow store. And in the search bar, you're going to look up Safe Workplace Suite. If I spell that correctly, Safe Workplace Suite. And if I click into this is the first plugin. So this is your core plugin that will enable all your Safe Workplace experiences on the platform and desktop. Mobile is an extension of your platform's capabilities that you get. You can't have mobile experiences without having access to your platform's capabilities, right? So this is the very first plugin that you need to just get access to the Safe Workplace apps in general. The second plugin, which is new, that you'll need installed is called Safe Workplace for mobile. This is the new plugin that's been available for the past few weeks. And this plugin will actually consolidate all of your out-of-the-box Safe Workplace apps, as well as the emergency response management apps, all into a single mobile experience and on this single landing page, right? This is all you get. And this is the plugin that's responsible for that. And so once you have that plugin installed, you'll get a new navigation tab called Health. This will give you access to all those things that you can do, like health surveys, verify, and so forth. The third plugin that I'm going to show you is an optional plugin, but it's very likely a plugin that you'll also want to consider getting. And it's called Safe Workplace Dashboard. And it's possible that this plugin may already be installed as a dependency when you install the Safe Workplace suite, but this will actually give you access to all your reporting capabilities so that your organization can quickly evaluate whether or not your employees are ready to return to work. We're not going to dive into the reporting capabilities in today's session, but if you have any questions I highly recommend reaching out to the Safe Workplace platform team on their COVID-19 community site. They have their own community site as well, where you can ask them questions. Okay, so now that we have our plugins installed, you have you'll log into your app, and now you have this entire landing page that's dedicated to just Safe Workplace. And here you can see all the out-of-the-box experiences that you get with it, right? I have access to my surveys on top, health screening below, being able to manage PP&E inventory, seeing your current health status, depending on the employee that's logged in. And I can even see my team's health status workflow, which is really only relevant to my manager persona. So as you can see, this is a bit overwhelming with all the things that you immediately get on this app launcher. It's consolidating 3 different personas. But for today's goal, it's really just simply enabling a simple return to office workflow for my general employee. So I'm going to clean this up so it doesn't confuse my general employees. And the workflow that I want to take my general employees through is first, once my organization is ready to return to work and they're ready to pilot it out to a specific office, they're going to send out this required form that employees must complete before returning. And it's called Verify My Health. When the end employee opens this up, this is a web form or a record producer, and they have to acknowledge some of these requirements, whatever those things are. And once you click acknowledge and submit, they're now verified and clear to be able to return to their office. But another requirement that I want my employees to be able to do is to be able to report their health statuses. And if you look at the top right here, I have a quick action. And if my employee taps on that quick action, they're able to report their statuses. If someone was reporting symptoms and they submitted this, you'll see an updated status here. If I refresh, that the logged in user David is now reporting symptoms. And so this employee would not be cleared to return to the office with that QR code. But if I were to change my status to, returning to work because I've cleared all the requirements that my office has, then I'll refresh, see that my logged in user David is now returning to work. It's in green, I'm in green status. I can pull up my QR code and I can scan into the building to be able to return to the office. So this is a very simple workflow. And really everything else that's on this landing page right now, to me, is irrelevant. And so we're going to hide the rest of it. So let's go ahead and do that now. On our instance, left-hand nav, we're going to look up navigation bar for Now Mobile. And here you can see this is my navigation bar for Now Mobile. I'll tap into this record. I'm going to switch into the scope. And here I have access. This is the wrong. Oh, here we go. Okay. Click to edit record here to switch scope. Okay. So here I have access to all the content that lives on this applet, this navigation bar in Now Mobile. So these are all my different navigation tabs, right? For me, health, services, and so forth. If I tap into health, which is that Safe Workplace one, I have a record here called for Applet Launcher. And if I open up this record, now here is the access to all the content that lives on this landing page. In the header here, you can see that I can change the title. I can add a header function, or I can enable global search if I wanted to. And in the body, you have access to all your UI sections, which compiles all your applets in either a vertical orientation or a horizontal orientation. UI sections can also be used to create media sections, right? So which kind of acts as like an image or banner at the very top, which you can add description and title if you wanted to. With our goal in mind, immediately I can see that the health screening UI section and the manage PP&E UI section, as well as Teams health by health status UI sections, they're all irrelevant to me in my scope today. So we're actually going to get rid of these on our instance. So let's first get rid of the health screening section first. And I can do that if I click into this record, and I can hide the header. One second, health screening section. Okay, here we go. And what we can do is, if we jump into the scope, I can actually hide this. Instead of just deleting this entire UI section because I can reuse it later, I can just hide it by setting active to false. And then if I click update and I refresh my mobile app, that entire UI section will disappear. So let's also apply that to manage PP&E inventory. Switch the scope, set this to false, active is false. We'll save. And then we'll also do it to, what else do we not want? My team. My team is irrelevant to me. So we'll jump into my team. And then we'll set active. Active is already false. Maybe this is a different one. Oh, my team, sorry. Number 70. So let's set active to false. Click update. Now if I refresh my app launcher, I now see only the relevant UI sections, which is my current health status, as well as health status, which contains my QR code and my status as well. Okay. Next, now that we've hid the UI sections that we don't want, the next thing on our list is to hide the individual applets that we don't want. We have this entire UI section called follow these safety practices. And there's a whole lot of applets here. And there's even a couple of applets that I can't really see. Just from a, kind of a best practices UX design, we recommend that, you only have up to 4 icons at a time, unless there's some sort of way that you can teach your users that, these applets are also accessible. Sometimes they won't be able to see that last applet if they don't scroll, right? So we're only going to expose the ones that we want, and the only one we want is verify my health. So let's actually get rid of all the other ones. To be able to hide those, we're going to jump into follow these safety practices. And here there's a field called applets, and if I unlock these applets, I can start removing all the ones that we don't want. So we'll X out health surveys, request PP&E, daily contact, privacy consent, set up a visit. If you start seeing these sys IDs, so this is actually a known, it's definitely unexpected behavior, but what this is indicating to me is that this is a pre-built experience, and this is a consolidation of multiple plugins. If there's a plugin that I don't already have access to, they've already built out this applet, but just because I don't have access to that content, it's kind of showing a corrupted a thing here. And so these are actually not relevant to me unless I have access to that. We are working on this, and we'll definitely get this fixed. But just so you know, if you see these sys IDs, you can just ignore them or get rid of them. For me, I'm gonna just get rid of them. All right. And so now that we've deleted those applets, we'll click save. And if I refresh my applet launcher, we'll only see verify my health, which is the only relevant applet to me, right? And we're not exposing all these other applets so that we're not creating clutter or confusion for those end users. If I scroll down, I have a UI section for my current status, right? Which shows me my profile. It shows me my health history and some assigned tasks. This is lots of good information and data that I want to expose to my logged in employee. But I also have another applet that says my status underneath here. And this is actually a web form. And maybe this is used for, maybe this is a workflow that I can consider using for upcoming workspace reservations. But other than this right here, this is kind of duplicate data to me. And so I'm actually gonna hide this one as well. So to hide the My Status applet under Health Status, we'll go back to my applet launcher for health. And then we're going to jump into Health Status. We'll jump into the scope. And then on the applets record, we're going to get rid of My Status. And then we'll save. Okay, if I refresh, that one should disappear as well. And now we have a more consolidated list of things that I want my employees to see. These are the only things that I want them to have access to. There's no extra stuff that's there for no reason. This is the new consolidated view, right? So next, we're going to start diving into the contents of these applets. Does this show the data that I want my end users to see? When I open up Verify My Health, and it takes me to a web form or a record producer, it has a bunch of information on it. Do I need to change anything on this form? Or if I want to change part of this description on this form, like this, let's say maybe on the fourth clause, we want to be a bit more specific and change it to say, you must wear a mask at all times while on site around others. How would I go about doing that? So let's actually change that now. So on our left-hand nav, we're going to look up service catalogs, right? So this is a record producer that can be found on the platform's service catalogs. If I scroll down on our left-hand nav, we're going to open up record producers. And there's going to be a record producer called health, or health verification. Or not the order, but search by name, and we're going to look up health. And here you're going to see that there's a health verification record producer. It looks like there's a couple. I don't know which one's which exactly, but let's go ahead and jump into one of these and update it and see if this is the correct one. So this record is in the employee health screening application, but Safe Workplace is the current application. So let's check out the second one. This is records in ITSM mobile agent. So this is a record producer for the ServiceNow mobile agent app. So I know that the first one's actually for me, right? Because we're editing the Now mobile app. So now we'll go ahead and switch into the scope so that I can update this record producer. And now you have access to all these things that you can change, right? But just to keep it simple, we're just going to change this fourth clause that says, you must wear personal protective equipment, such as must wear a mask while on site and around others at all times. And then we'll even bold at all times. And now if I click update and I refresh, I go back to my app launch and refresh my mobile app. We'll again click into Verify My Health. We'll click Show More, and there, I think you should be able to see, there we go. So now you see the fourth clause has been updated, and I've bolded the at all times. Okay. So that's an example of being able to modify your record producers or web forms that you might have access to on this Safe Workplace mobile app. The next thing I want to do is let's dive into my current health status. So this is a native screen. When I tap into it, it takes me to a native form screen that shows me fields on my logged in user, right? So all of these fields that you see here are totally modifiable, right? If you want to add fields, change fields, remove fields, all possible. You have 3 segments up here, one for status, one of the activity stream, which they renamed to health history, and then one related list. Actually, no, this is an embedded list that shows me my assigned task. All this is configurable. Again, if this is all unfamiliar to you, please check out our mobile hierarchy mobile app academy video, which will definitely get you ramped up on that hierarchy stuff. But for this use case, let's actually, you can see that there is a field called updated by admin. This is irrelevant to my end user. And really, I only want to expose the fields that are useful to my, my end user. So there's no point of having a field called updated by. Let's go ahead and remove that for that general employee. How would I go about doing that? Back on our instance, we're going to look up this applet. So And if you don't know what this applet is called, I would encourage that you first look at the applet launcher, because then it kind of makes it easier finding what this applet might be called. So we're going to look up applet launchers. I know that this applet launcher is called health, so that makes it easy for me to find. We'll tap into health. Here you can see all the different UI sections. So let's just keep going down the list, right? We want to get to my current health status, so we'll tap into my current health status. This field here, this is an item section, and within this item section contains your applet. On the field, it's called destination screen. But here, I know that this is a list applet because I see the see all button. If you tap on see all, this is actually a list screen. Although your general employees will most likely tap directly on the record itself, and it'll take you to that form screen instead. But once I navigate to this list screen here, I want to actually get to the form screen here. So I have to keep going down the item stream segment into the item stream to my master item, right? The master item is controlling this view right here. You can assign conditions, and then this embedded screen is that form screen. So I tap into the form screen. This is this view on the instance, and this is the view on mobile. On this form screen contains 3 different segments, one for status, one for health history, and one for assigned task. I want to be able to change or remove a field on the status segment, right, for updated by. So we're going to navigate to status. And in the related list, I have screen fields, and these are how you add new fields or change them. I just want to simply remove the sys updated by field. So let's go ahead and delete this field. And now if I go back to my applet launcher and refresh this, it should update for my end user, right? So you no longer see the updated by status. Okay. So another key piece to configuring the content within our mobile app is making sure that you have the right roles applied to each one of these applets and applet launchers. Right, so we're trying to roll it out to a very specific group of users. And for mobile, you can control it using role-based permissions. And let's say you can create a custom role. You can use roles so that only the users, the end employees that you want to deploy this to, will have visibility on this landing page. Everyone else will just have their typical Now mobile app for me, services and information. But maybe you want a remote site that you're piloting this launch to be able to access this landing page. So how would I go about doing that? Let's say that I want to apply a role-based permission to this entire landing page so that it disappears for everyone else if they don't have that role. So let's again find this health applet launcher. So on our left-hand nav, let's look at applet launchers, look up health. And then there's a field here on this applet launcher for required roles. You can create your own custom roles, or you can select one out of the box. But I have a custom role called, let's see if I can find it, SNINT, health. Let's see. Okay. So we'll just go ahead and bring over this role called check-in reader. And only the end users that has this role will be able to access this applet launcher, right? So let's go ahead and update this. I'm gonna add this role to my logged in user for David. So let's look up users. And then I'm gonna create another user called Beth. and Beth won't have access to this role. And I'll show you, only David will be able to log in and see this view, but Beth won't be able to. So let's look at David. And then David will give that role. So IMT. Check-in leader. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and save. So now I'm also going to create another user for Beth. Let's look at Beth. And then I'm going to give Beth a login. And as you can see, let me save this real fast. If I check her roles, she shouldn't have this role. So SN IMT check-in. All right, so this is not a role that's assigned to her. So first, since I've already applied the role to this entire landing page, let's go ahead and log in as Beth, just so that I can show you that Beth won't have access to this. We'll log out of our instance and log back in. Log in as Beth England. Okay, so now Beth only sees her general employee use cases, right? Access to her For Me tab to be able to request services and catalog items, KBs, notifications, but there's no, she definitely doesn't see the Safe Workplace landing page. But if I log back into as David, because these are the roles, these are the groups of users that I want to roll this out to for my first initial pilot. David still has access to that health tab, right? So there you can see that you can kind of use role-based permissions to kind of control the visibility of certain landing pages or applets. And just so you remember, you can also apply roles to individual applets as well. So if you have different personas, like a manager persona versus a general employee, you can set up roles so that only managers have specific access to manager reports, and then general employees won't be able to see any of that, right? So that's what I want to cover for role-based permissions. The last topic I want to cover are mobile UX best practices. So really just customizing the look and feel of your landing pages. And I'll probably only have enough time to cover a few basic things. But again, if you want more in-depth guidelines, definitely check out our Building Mobile Apps with ServiceNow Best Practices guidebook that's featured on Mobile Community. If you look at underneath featured content, it's this guidebook here, right? So we're going to go through a couple one of these. Oh, and one more thing that I want to mention here. You can refer to this document to really just, if you're trying to think of ideas and ways to optimize and improve the overall look of your mobile workflows so that it's more intuitive and easier to use and just looks good. This is kind of your all-encompassing doc. And we're also open to feedback if there's other things that you want to learn on this. Definitely add in the comments so we kind of get that feedback there. Okay. But just to tackle a few low-hanging fruit, let's configure a couple things here. I think that our landing page will look better if my current health status UI section is between the media section and the follow the safety practices UI section. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Again, we'll open up our applet launcher. And we'll open up the health applet launcher. And here on your Apple Launcher sections, you can use order to kind of rearrange your UI sections. So I want my current health status to sit in between these two. So I can do that by setting my current health status order to 15. Although best practices, we do recommend to use increments of 10, but just to save time, I'll just set it to 15. And then we'll go ahead and click save to update those changes. Now, if I refresh the mobile app, you'll see my current health status jump up to the top, right? Let's do another couple of things. So again, this exercise that I'm kind of going through with you is just moving things around, renaming things, changing the titles. You know, the workflow is already there, and now it's just kind of improving the overall app's look and feel, right? So let's actually rename the follow these safety practices to prerequisites to entering the office. And we're actually going to change this to a horizontal icon section. Or no, this is already horizontal, right? So it kind of spans left to right. We're going to change it so it spans top to bottom. I think it'll look a little better, kind of like my office entry code here. Best practices when you're using icon sections, I recommend have 3 or more. Otherwise, you're just going to have this white space and it doesn't look all that great. So on our UI section for health, follow these safety practices. We're going to tap into that. And you're going to have a field called orientation. So we're going to switch that up from horizontal to the vertical. And then you can also display feed count, but that's not relevant to me. So we'll go ahead and click save. And if I refresh the app, now it went from horizontal to vertical. Another thing that I want to point out is there's also these visibility conditions that you can apply to help hide your applets. For example, if there is a form that only needs to be completed once and never again, you can trigger conditions that invokes a certain response type so that it will hide that applet once it's completed. So this is definitely very useful if you ever have use cases for that. But verify my health, this is something that's reoccurring, so I'm not going to apply any conditions there. But definitely something worth mentioning. Okay. Another thing that I want to do is let's go ahead and change the color of this icon to green, because it looks like our overall kind of look and feel right now is kind of green icons, but this one is kind of purple. How would I change this icon? So usually as a system admin, you're probably more familiar with changing your icons and colors with Mobile Studio. But again, because we're configuring the Now mobile app, most of your configuration is going to be on the Now platform. So how would I go about changing this icon? What I recommend is that you open up both screens. We're going to open up both this applet's icon as well as this applet's icon. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to copy the content within this icon and paste it into this. I think that's the easiest way. Another great thing that you can do with Mobile Studio is because there's already icons built in Mobile Studio, you can just create like a templated applet, grab that icon and color, and then just paste that content into the applet that you actually want. Okay, so let's go through the exercise of actually copying the content of this applet's icon into this icon. So on our back on our Apple launcher, I'm going to open up both of these UI sections. I'm going to open up follow these safety practices as well as health status for my office entry code. And for we're going to open up this applet called Verify My Health. This is a web screen. And if I switch into the scope, there's a field for icon. Something good to know is anytime the type is font, it is a supported icon. If the type is ever image, you're going to get this nasty question mark that shows up on your mobile screens. And if you see question marks, this indicates to you that it's an unsupported icon. As of today's support, we only support all the icons that Mobile Studio gives you templates for. So you can't just create your own icons as of today. But it is something that we are looking into as we've gotten a lot of feedback from customers that that's something that they want to do. So let's go ahead and open up this record for icon. have this up, and then let's also open up icon for health status. Switch the scope, open up this applet, and then open up this icon record. Okay, so let's switch into the scope and then switch into the scope. Okay, so because I want to make this green, let's look at my office entry code icon. And these are basically all the things that you can change on it. The font names and shapes definitely refer to product docs to see what is supported. We have a product docs just on icons alone, and it really shows you how you what we do support today. So if I go into building and configuring mobile apps, might be faster if I just look up mobile icons. Actually, I think it's under UI style or styles. And then mobile icons. So here, definitely leverage this document anytime you're trying to customize your icons. Okay. But just keep it simple and short. We're just going to change the color from purple to green. So I think background color, as well as font color. Oh, font color is this one. So that's what I meant by kind of copying the content into this applet here. So now if I click update, and if I refresh my screen, now you see it change from purple to green. Of course, it's much easier to do this in Mobile Studio, but we're not quite there yet with configuring the Now mobile app inside of Mobile Studio. We will get there in the next few releases, but it's something we're definitely investing lots of resources to improve on. Okay. And that was pretty much everything that I kind of want to show for today. Those were a lot of the common use cases and things that you'll definitely consider doing when it comes to changing the look and feel of your overall app launcher, as well as changing the content inside of it, right? What kind of data and visualizations you want to expose for end users, as well as hiding and removing the things that you don't want, right? You definitely only want to expose the things that your employees will use. So now that I have this consolidated view, my workflow essentially is David would log into this Now mobile app. He'll open up this applet for verify my health. Whoops, I actually forgot to follow these safety practices. Let's actually change this to prerequisites so that they know that this is important and that you must do this before anything else. So let's do that really quick. We'll jump into the UI section for this. We'll change it to prerequisites. To return to Office, and then we'll update. Now if I refresh the screen, now that David's first thing to do is to complete this prerequisite to verify his health. He'll look through this form, make sure that he meets all these requirements, and then if he does and acknowledges that he meets all these requirements, he'll submit this. And then you'll get a QR code to be able to access your building. And you can see that this user is cleared, right? In addition, David's also constantly reporting his health status every day, and management will get a report using the Safe Workplace dashboards and be able to see health statuses change over time across their organization, right? So David's on his way to returning to work for today. He's in green. And you can also pop up your Office entry code real quick with the tap of a button. And now David's able to return to his office safely. Very simple workflow, but this was just a short example of some of the things that you can do with this out of the box app. All right. So let's go ahead and open up to questions now. Fu, are there any questions that we want to highlight in the chat?
Yes, thanks, David. That was a great presentation. We have one. Vanille. So basically, he wants to display a true-false toggle on a function. I believe that's what he asked. And I told him that you can change the type to Boolean in the item param, but apparently I don't think that it worked. Should we unmute Vinio and
Yeah, let's do it. Vinil, I'm going to unmute you real fast. Allow to talk. Now, if you unmute yourself, Vinil, you should be able to ask your question directly to us.
Sure. Hi. Thank you so much for giving your time. So we are migrating from a classic app to agent app, and we in our work order task form view, we have certain fields that are that we used for toggle from the classic app. So we tried the same in the agent app, and we added the field in the action parameter as a type boolean, and we save that in our edit form in the form view. And so when I try to look into that edit and see the field name, under the field name the box is always empty. It's not showing either true or false. And if I change, or if I it's not, instead of a toggle, it's like kind of a text box, even though I entered a type boolean. But I tried to, so it said a text box, so I typed it like a true and false. And when I hit submit, and it's still not reflecting those things in the form view.
Okay. So let's verify this. So David, do you have an incident incident applet with an edit function or any out of the box stuff you have?
We can check one out real fast.
Yeah.
I'll use the agent app. Yeah, I don't mind changing this up. Okay, let's
Yeah, just use any function.
yeah, so let's look up. So first we start with the action item. Action, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff here. So let's consolidate all of this. And then mobile studio only. Action items. Let's do edit, control find. Edit incident.
Yep.
It's an update type. It looks good. Here you can set your parameters, right? So let's say
go to short description, just change it the type to Boolean. No, leave all that's the same.
Oh, sure. So here under your item parameters in the related list, there is a parameter for description. We're going to change the type from string to Boolean. We'll save. Everything else should still be the same. I don't know where this function lives on this out-of-the-box app. I think let's see. Let's log into mobile real fast. Agent.
It's probably agent.
Yeah, agents. This. Hopefully the app launchers are exposed. Should be out of the box ITSM. My instance, edit.
There it is, the Boolean on description.
See that right there? So are you not seeing this experience here?
Yeah, we are unable to see that. Is it only effective for the ITSM or
No. So what I recommend is try reverse engineering one of the out of the box functions, right? Kind of follow these steps. I even have a video on how to create functions from scratch and some training on it. If you look up ServiceNow mobile functions.
So here our limitation is if we build that field from the scratch, we have to map that data again from the native UI. So we already have that existing field. We just want to change the type there.
Is it possible to show us right now or later?
Probably don't want to show a customer instance.
Okay.
I would recommend, well, first, just to see if you can figure this out on your own, some common troubleshooting things that I've seen. If your Boolean isn't working, it's possible that your mappings aren't correct, right? So making sure that these parameters are also mapped to your query conditions up here, making sure these are mapped. And you also have to check your action function. So this is just the action item. but you also need to map your action item to your action function. So I have an edit here for action function. All right, edit incident. It's consuming this edit incident. And here I can define the things that this is actually doing and how those parameters are showing up to me. So here you also have to create your UI parameters and then map your item parameters to your UI parameters. So that's probably one of the most common troubleshooting techniques.
Yeah. Can you show that UI parameter, or which was it category we just toggled it? Is it?
Yeah. So this already came with a description UI parameter. I can click into it, show you some of the details on this. And here you can just specify whatever you want, right? Like, you know, what's the input source? Is it autofill or user input? Input type, text or list.
You want to do input type for your
text.
It has to be text, but you have to have an input type, user input type, not autofill.
Yes. So these two, if you want to use Boolean, these two have to be user input and text. Maybe that's the reason.
Okay. And one more thing, like that, if you scroll a little top, the input style should be pop-up or inline.
It doesn't matter.
Try inline. I've never tried pop-up before,
but we are trying with pop-up. So
I see.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work with pop-up, open up a ticket on that. I'm not sure why it wouldn't work up as pop-up.
The most important thing is to map it too.
Yeah,
maybe that's why.
And maybe I'll try with the input source as a user input. And I'm sure we kept that input type as text and the input style as a pop-up, but yeah.
Do you want to show them the mapping parameter?
Oh yes, the last thing is just making sure your item parameter is mapped to your UI parameter, right? So I had this action item, this description item parameter, and and on our action function, you have the UI parameter. So these two need to map together, and you can create a new one so that your item parameter maps to your UI parameters. By clicking to this record, it's really simple. Just item parameter, UI parameter, and that's it. Ideally, in the future, the mappings will happen on its own, but that's kind of the state of Studio at the moment.
Yeah, we are making sure we're mapping right. When we add a UI parameter, we are making sure adding an action parameter mapping as well. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll try in this way. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
No problem. Any other last minute questions before we wrap up? We're at the top of the hour. Any other highlights? Maybe one more.
Yeah. So question is, so in total, this is from OU, how many out-of-the-box mobile apps are available? Can you confirm? Now, agent, onboarding, and safe workspace. You might want to talk about what safe workspace is between.
So that's good. So we actually just did a Paris overview webinar on the on-demand, and this will actually show you all the out-of-the-box experiences that are available. There is a lot, but if you look up on-demand webinars for ServiceNow, I should have a link on this. Wait, let me stop sharing just for a quick second, and then I'll pop up the screen. So just pull this up really, really fast. Webinars. Paris. Here it is. Okay, found it. So now if I reshare my screen, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So if you look up new Paris mobile capabilities for new world work, in this is a recorded overview of all the features and out-of-the-box apps that we have as of today. Definitely check out this webinar. Really good, lots of information, and we definitely talk about how Safe Workplace plays a part in this as well. So definitely check this out. And this is you can access this on the official ServiceNow website. Just go to events, and then under events you have on-demand webinars, and it's called New Paris Mobile Capabilities. Okay, so with that, I think we're out of time. Thank you everyone for joining us today for another Mobile App Academy. I hope you found this session super informative and helpful. If you have any other questions, feel free to keep posting on our mobile community site. We will still be active on that. And also, it will give us feedback on other topics and configurations that we can explore in future app academies. If they are Safe Workplace specific, please post them to our COVID-19 community site, where those gurus will be much more helpful. If you found our PowerPoint that we were showing earlier helpful, we'll also post that on mobile community in a few days, as well as the link to this recording. One last mention, today's session is the last Mobile App Academy for the year as we ramp down for the holidays. However, we'll kick it off again at the beginning of next year. And we'll have a whole lot more exciting topics on our agenda, and we can't wait to share them with you. Until then, please continue following our mobile community site to get the latest dates and information. Thank you for joining today's session, and I hope to see you in a couple months at the next Mobile App Academy. Cheers, everyone.